When you open your eyes in the morning, before the world begins to pull at your strength, before fear, doubt, and distraction attempt to whisper their lies into your spirit, there is a moment, small but sacred, where your heart can choose its anchor for the day. And in that moment, there is no stronger place to stand, no safer covering to walk beneath than the promise God placed in Psalm 27. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the strength of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? If you allow those words to shape the first breath of your morning, everything in your day begins to shift. Your posture changes, your mindset sharpens, your spirit lifts, and suddenly you don't wake up to fight the world. You wake up knowing the world cannot defeat you because heaven is already fighting for you. There's something powerful about beginning your day with divine protection, not as a concept, but as a reality. Many people wake up and carry yesterday's burdens into today. They wake up with anxiety, replaying old conversations, old failures, old regrets. But when you start your morning in God's protection, you don't wake up carrying the weight of life. You wake up covered by the one who carries you, the one who goes before you, the one who lifts your head when life tries to bow it down, the one who says you are not alone and you are not vulnerable. You are not exposed, abandoned, or forgotten. You are shielded, strengthened, and surrounded. Psalm 27 is not just a passage. It is a morning declaration of identity and authority. It reminds you that God is your light when the path looks dark. He is your salvation when the world feels overwhelming. He is your strength when your own strength runs out. For many, mornings can be the most vulnerable part of the day. The mind wakes up before the soul has fully settled. The enemy knows this. That is why he attacks early. That is why he plants thoughts of fear, discouragement, comparison, and insecurity before you've even had breakfast. But Psalm 27 cancels those attacks before they even begin. It is your spiritual armor before your feet even touch the ground. It tells every force that tries to rise against you, you will not win today. And that is exactly why starting your morning in God's protection is not optional. It is essential. When you place Psalm 27 at the very front of your day, you are not just reciting words, you are activating a shield. You are reminding your soul that God is not in the background of your life. He is standing in front of you. He is not watching from a distance. He is walking with you step by step, moment by moment. When fear tries to speak, his light speaks louder. When doubt tries to creep in, his salvation cuts through it. When weakness tries to settle in your bones, his strength replaces it with courage. And courage, that is something you need to start your morning with. The world doesn't reward fear. Life doesn't respond to hesitation. Destiny doesn't unfold for those who shrink back. But Psalm 27 gives you a confidence that doesn't come from you. It comes from God himself. Though an army encamp against me, my heart shall not fear. Look at the power of those words. They are not naive. They are not blind to the challenges of life. They don't pretend the battles don't exist. They just declare that the battles don't win. Because when God is your protection, you don't have to avoid the fight. You just have to remember you are not fighting alone. Every morning carries its own battles, some visible, some invisible. Some people wake up fighting financial stress. Others are fighting broken relationships. Some are fighting their own thoughts, their own insecurities, their own habits. Some are fighting the pressure to be perfect in a world that thrives on comparison. But Psalm 27 tells you that no matter what stands against you, it will not defeat you. You might feel pressure, but you won't be crushed. You might face resistance, but you won't be stopped. You might walk through storms, but you will not drown. You might walk through fire, but you will not burn. Why? Because God himself is your protection. And when God protects you, he doesn't just protect your body, he protects your peace. He protects your thoughts. He protects your purpose. He protects your direction. There are people who can walk through the exact same situation, yet one collapses under the weight while the other walks through it with strength and calmness. The difference is not their situation, it's their foundation. Some begin their day with worry. Others begin their day with the word, and the word changes everything. There is a part of Psalm 27 that many overlook, but it is one of the most powerful verses to start your morning with. For in the time of trouble he shall hide me in his pavilion. In the secret of his tabernacle shall he hide me. He shall set me upon a rock. When you start your morning in God's protection, you are not just asking God to keep bad things away. You are asking him to lift your life to a higher level. You are stepping into a place where trouble may exist, but it can't touch you. Where noise may surround you, but it can't confuse you. Where pressure may come, but it can't break you. Think about that. He shall set me upon a rock. That means stability. That means clarity. That means direction. It means while other people are shaken, you remain steady. While others are panicking, you remain anchored. While others are running, you stand firm. Because God becomes the rock under your feet, the shield around your life, and the fire within your spirit. But here is the key. You must start your morning with it, not after the chaos has begun, not after fear has already entered, not after anxiety has already taken root. The power comes when you establish your spiritual covering before the world has a chance to touch you. When you wake up and declare, "The Lord is my light," darkness loses its permission. When you declare, "The Lord is my salvation," every attack loses its power. When you declare, "The Lord is the strength of my life," weakness loses its authority. And when you speak those words early, when the sun is just rising, when the house is still quiet, when the world hasn't yet begun its noise, something incredible happens. Your spirit becomes aligned, your mind becomes sharp, your fears shrink, your faith rises, and suddenly the day that once felt heavy now feels possible. The obstacles that once looked intimidating now look small. The things that used to shake you no longer move you the same way, because you're walking in protection, not exposure. You are walking in purpose, not confusion. You are walking in courage, not hesitation. Your morning becomes a meeting place with God, and in that meeting, He strengthens you for everything ahead. That is why the enemy's greatest strategy is to keep you busy in the morning, distracted, rushed, unfocused. He wants you to start your day with your phone, not your faith. He wants you to start with anxiety, not assurance. He wants you to start with pressure, not peace. Because he knows that a believer who starts the morning in God's protection is a believer who becomes unstoppable for the rest of the day. And when you understand that, when you embrace that, when you discipline yourself to live that, something starts to break open in your life. Doors open, opportunities appear, clarity returns, confidence increases, strength expands. Your day is no longer a battlefield. It becomes a victory march. Not because the challenges disappear, but because God walks with you through every single one of them. And that is the power of Psalm 27, not just to inspire you, but to equip you, to shield you, to elevate you, to prepare you for everything coming your way. So when you step into your morning, step into it knowing you are covered, strengthened, protected, and surrounded by the God who never fails, never sleeps, never forgets, and never leaves. Because when you understand that God is not only watching over you, but walking with you, something inside you becomes unshakable. Not loud, not arrogant, not boastful, just deeply grounded. You move differently when you know you're protected. You think differently when you know you're covered. You speak differently when you know heaven backs every step you take. And that's what Psalm 27 does to your mornings. It reprograms the way you carry yourself through the day. It shifts your mentality from surviving to standing, from worrying to worshiping, from hoping to knowing. There is a quiet confidence that comes when you wake up under God's protection. It's not the confidence that needs to prove something or show something. It's the kind that settles deep into your bones and whispers, "I don't have to fear what the day brings because I know who's bringing me through the day." When you begin with that, you become a different version of yourself. Wiser, calmer, clearer, stronger. And people may look at you and wonder how you keep your peace when everything around you feels chaotic, but what they can't see is the covering you started your morning with. They can't see the scripture you declared over your life before the world even woke up. They can't see the light that went ahead of you, the salvation that surrounded you, or the strength that filled your spirit. Sometimes you have to understand that protection doesn't always look like God removing every problem. Often protection looks like Him strengthening you so deeply that the problem cannot remove you. It looks like Him fortifying your mind so that stress cannot break you, fortifying your heart so disappointment cannot poison you, fortifying your purpose so delays cannot discourage you. Protection is not always the absence of the battle. It is the presence of God in the battle. Psalm 27 reminds you that you are never walking into your day alone. You are never walking into a meeting alone. You are never walking into a challenge alone. You are never walking into a conversation alone. You are never walking into a decision alone. There is a divine presence that goes before you, stands beside you, and guards behind you. And when you live with that awareness, you stop waking up with dread and start waking up with purpose. You stop waking up with anxiety and start waking up with authority. You stop waking up trying to survive the day and start waking up knowing the day has to move in alignment with the power of God over your life. But to walk in that kind of protection, you must also walk in that kind of trust. Because Psalm 27 is not just a chapter, it's a choice to believe that the God who protected you yesterday will protect you again today. A choice to believe that the light God shined on your past darkness will shine on today's challenges. A choice to believe that the salvation that rescued you before will rescue you again if needed. A choice to believe that the strength that carried you through your valley is the same strength that will carry you up your mountain. Every morning you have to choose to trust God, and trust doesn't always come naturally. Sometimes trust is a fight. Sometimes trust is a battle inside your heart where fear is trying to scream louder than faith. But when you speak Psalm 27 out loud, when you declare it with your own voice, you silence the voice of fear. You remind your mind who is in control. You remind your spirit where your help comes from. You remind your heart that God has never failed you. And today won't be the first time, because there will always be things in your day that try to shake you. Unexpected news, heavy responsibilities, difficult people, tight timelines, emotional triggers, moments of pressure. But when you've already anchored your morning in God, you don't break, you bend. You don't fall apart, you refocus. You don't lose yourself, you lean on Him. You don't collapse from the weight. You carry it with grace because you know you're not carrying it alone. There's a line in Psalm 27 that says, "Though war should rise against me, in this will I be confident." That means even if life comes at you with everything it has, even if responsibilities stack up, even if emotions run high, even if disappointments come unexpectedly, your confidence does not disappear. You face it with strength because the foundation of your confidence doesn't come from the situation. It comes from the Savior. Imagine waking up each day with the confidence that no matter what rises against you, you will not be shaken. Imagine moving through your tasks with the assurance that no obstacle can block what God has ordained. Imagine walking into your workplace, your home, your school, your relationships with the certainty that God has already gone before you. That is the spiritual advantage Psalm 27 gives you when you make it your morning routine. And the more you practice it, the more your sensitivity to God's presence increases. You start to notice moments throughout the day when God shields you from something that would have wounded you. You feel His nudge when you're about to react emotionally. You sense His peace when you're facing something stressful. You feel His guidance when you're unsure of your next move. You recognize His strength when you're tired, His clarity when you're confused, His protection when something tries to shake your peace. It becomes harder for the enemy to distract you because you began your day with focus. It becomes harder for stress to overwhelm you because you started your day in stillness. It becomes harder for negativity to attach to you because you started your morning in the presence of light. And darkness cannot stick to someone who started their morning in God's brightness. The truth is, God's protection doesn't just cover you, it transforms you. It changes the way you listen, the way you respond, the way you interpret situations, the way you carry yourself. And that transformation becomes visible not just to you, but to everyone around you. People notice your calmness. They notice your strength. They notice your peace. They notice your resilience. They notice that while others are sinking, you keep rising. While others are panicking, you keep moving forward. While others are complaining, you keep trusting. And even if they don't know the reason behind it, you do, because you start your day in the shadow of the Almighty. There's a powerful part of Psalm 27 that says, "One thing have I desired of the Lord, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life." That means living constantly aware of God's presence, not only in your morning prayer, but in your thoughts, your reactions, your decisions, your emotions, your movements. When you begin your morning with that desire, you start carrying God's presence into your day like a garment. And that presence becomes your protection. It becomes your wisdom. It becomes your peace. It becomes your strength. You begin to walk through life with a heart that stays near to God, a spirit that listens, a mind that trusts, and a soul that rests. And the more you walk with God, the more clearly you begin to see the difference between attacks and assignments, between distractions and directions, between opportunities and traps. His protection sharpens your discernment. It heightens your awareness. It strengthens your decision-making. It helps you recognize what to say yes to and what to walk away from. Sometimes God's protection is not about blocking danger. It's about blocking access. He keeps certain people away from you because their intentions are not pure. He shuts certain doors because they would have drained you. He delays certain opportunities because they would have distracted you. He removes certain relationships because they would have confused you. And when you start your morning with Him, you begin to see these moments not as losses, but as protection. Psalm 27 teaches you to see life through a spiritual lens. It teaches you that rejection is sometimes redirection. It teaches you that unanswered prayers are sometimes hidden rescue missions. It teaches you that delays are often divine detours designed to save you from something you never saw coming. It teaches you that every day God is shielding you from things you will never know about, preventing battles you never have to fight, redirecting attacks you never even felt, because His protection works even when you are unaware of I. And the more you meditate on that, the more grateful you become. Gratitude grows when you recognize that even on your worst days, God is working. Even when you feel alone, you are not abandoned. Even when you feel weak, you are not unprotected. Even when things feel uncertain, God's covering is certain. Gratitude keeps your heart soft. It keeps your spirit open. It keeps your perspective clear. And beginning your morning with gratitude allows God's protection to flow more freely through your day. When you live like this, you begin to carry a different kind of energy, an energy that attracts peace, stability, and favor. People sense something different about you because spiritual protection has a physical presence. It shows in your calmness. It shows in your patience. It shows in your confidence. It shows in the way you walk into a room. It shows in the way you speak to others. It shows in the way you handle challenges. You stop reacting from fear and start responding from faith. You stop living on edge and start living in assurance. You stop worrying about outcomes and start trusting God's timing. You stop trying to control everything and start surrendering to the one who controls all things. And this is why beginning your morning in God's protection is more than a spiritual routine. It is a lifestyle shift. It trains your heart to trust him. It trains your mind to listen to him. It trains your spirit to lean on him. It trains your emotions to rest in him. It trains your decisions to be guided by him. You begin to realize that life is not happening to you. It is happening through you. And God is orchestrating every detail. And when you truly begin to see life that way, you stop waking up hoping the day treats you well. You start waking up knowing that God has already prepared the day for you. Your faith begins to shape your footsteps. Your confidence begins to owe you. Sway your fears. Your spirit begins to carry a strength that no circumstance can take from you. And that strength becomes your daily reminder that you are not walking through life unprotected, uncovered, or unsupported. You are being guided by a God who sees the end from the beginning, who knows the path ahead, and who stands guard over everything concerning you. There is something powerful about knowing that the God who created the universe watches over your morning. It shifts your entire mindset. It lifts the weight of needing to figure everything out on your own. It removes the pressure of perfection. It takes away the fear of failure. Because when you step into your day under divine protection, your confidence no longer comes from your abilities. It comes from his presence. It comes from his promises. It comes from his character. It comes from his track record of never failing you, not even once. When you start your morning anchored in Psalm 27, you stop living like someone who has to outrun the world and you start living like someone who walks with God. You stop living in survival mode and start living in purpose mode. You stop moving from stress and start moving from strength. You stop reacting in fear and start responding in faith. That daily shift becomes the quiet transformation that changes everything about how you show up in the world. You become less shaken by things that used to disturb you. You become less intimidated by situations that once felt overwhelming. You become less controlled by the emotions that used to drain you. You begin to realize that God's protection is not just over your morning. It follows you into every conversation, every decision, every place you step throughout the day. When you feel confused, he steadies your thoughts. When you feel pressured, he calms your heart. When you feel overwhelmed, he lifts your spirit. When you feel uncertain, he guides your steps. The more you walk with him, the more you begin to sense the subtle ways his protection shows up. Sometimes it's in the form of a reminder, something deep inside you saying, don't go there, don't call them, don't react to that, don't worry about this, I've already handled it. Sometimes his protection looks like peace that makes no sense to people around you. Sometimes it looks like strength you didn't know you had. Sometimes it looks like wisdom that comes out of your mouth before you even have time to think. Sometimes it looks like a door closing before you walk into something that would have hindered your progress. Sometimes it looks like a delay that saves you from regret. And sometimes his protection looks like a blessing that arrives right at the moment you needed it most. God's protection is multi-layered. It covers your body, your spirit, your path, your purpose, your mind, your relationships, your decisions, and even your emotions. There is no part of you that God is unwilling to guard. But the reason Psalm 27 is so powerful for your morning is because it connects your awareness to that truth. It reminds you that protection is not something you earn through perfection. It is something God gives through love. It reminds you that you don't have to strive for his covering. You just have to step into it. It reminds you that no matter what the day brings, you never face it alone. The more you meditate on this truth, the more fearless you become. Not reckless, not careless, fearless. You realize fear no longer has authority to dictate your choices. Fear no longer has permission to sit in the driver's seat of your day. Fear no longer gets to decide what you pursue, what you avoid, or how you feel. Psalm 27 removes fear from your heart because it replaces fear with faith. It replaces anxiety with assurance. It replaces uncertainty with trust. And that trust becomes the invisible armor you wear throughout your day. You start to walk through life with a boldness that doesn't shout, but carries, a courage that doesn't boast but stands firm, a confidence that doesn't brag but moves with authority. You become grounded in a way that makes it difficult for life to shake you. Because once you've experienced what it feels like to walk through your day under God's protection, everything changes. You stop second guessing your worth. You stop replaying your mistakes. You stop fearing rejection. You stop doubting your ability. You stop shrinking yourself to make others comfortable. You stop apologizing for being called, chosen, protected, and covered by God. You begin to realize that every morning is not just another day, it is another opportunity to walk in purpose, another opportunity to grow, another opportunity to rise, another opportunity to shine God's light in a world full of darkness. Another opportunity to walk in boldness, courage, and faith. And Psalm 27 becomes the spark that lights the fire inside of you before the world can attempt to extinguish it. As you carry this mindset, you begin to see challenges differently. You no longer see them as threats. You see them as training. You no longer see them as obstacles. You see them as stepping stones. You no longer see them as reasons to fear. You see them as opportunities to grow stronger. You understand that God's protection doesn't remove the challenge. It prepares you to rise above it. It gives you the clarity to see the purpose behind the struggle, the strength to endure the process, and the confidence to know that victory is already written. When you stay consistent in starting your morning this way, something powerful develops, spiritual endurance. You stop burning out as easily. You stop losing hope as quickly. You stop being discouraged by small setbacks. You stop magnifying problems and start magnifying the one who can solve them. Spiritual endurance gives you stamina for life. It gives you resilience. It gives you patience. It gives you balance. It gives you wisdom. It gives you the ability to keep moving forward even when progress feels slow. Helps you trust God's timing even when your own plans fall apart. And as you grow in endurance, you begin to recognize that your morning routine with God is not simply a spiritual exercise. It is warfare. The moment you speak Psalm 27 out loud, you shake the strategies of the enemy. You disrupt the plans he had for your day. You dismantle the discouragement he set up for you. You block the confusion he designed to distract you. You break the lies he tried to whisper into your mind. You clear the spiritual atmosphere around you. You shift the environment of your home. You prepare your mind, your spirit, and your heart for victory. This is why the enemy tries so hard to attack you before you even get out of bed. He knows that if he can steal your focus early, he can weaken your spirit before the day begins. But when you speak Psalm 27, you reclaim your authority. You reclaim your peace. You reclaim your focus. You reclaim your spiritual ground. You reclaim your identity. You reclaim your day. You begin to realize that God's protection isn't something you visit. It's something you live in. You dwell in it. You rest in it. You walk in it. You make decisions from within it. You speak from within it. You respond from within it. You dream from within it. It becomes your permanent address, not a temporary escape. And when you live like this, you become a light in dark places, not because your life is perfect, but because your foundation is unshakable. People see you go through things and wonder how you manage to stay so steady. They see you facing stress and wonder how you keep your peace. They see you confronted with problems and wonder how you stay hopeful. They see you dealing with pressure and wonder how you remain calm. They see you walking through disappointment and wonder how you still believe. But what they don't see is the moment every morning where you surrender your day to God. The moment where you choose faith over fear. The moment where you remind your soul who is in control. The moment where you cover your day in Scripture. The moment where you declare that God is your light, your salvation, your strength, your protection, your foundation, and your confidence. What they don't see is the spiritual preparation that happens before you even step into the world. And that preparation is what allows you to walk through life with confidence, courage, and clarity. It is what strengthens your heart when things get hard. It is what keeps your spirit standing when life feels heavy. It is what keeps your faith alive when circumstances try to weaken it. It is what keeps your joy intact when situations try to steal it. Because starting your morning in God's protection is not just about surviving the day. It's about living it with purpose, strength, and victory. It's about stepping into everything God has for you without fear, without hesitation, and without doubt. And the more consistently you build this spiritual habit, the more you begin to notice a divine pattern in your life. You start realizing that your mornings are no longer battles. They are alignments. They are moments where heaven meets your humanity and strengthens you before you even step out the door. You begin to feel the shift inside you, a shift that makes you more intentional, more grounded, more aware of God's presence shaping your day from the inside out. And that awareness becomes your quiet power, a power that carries you through situations others crumble under. You start to recognize that the strength you walk in is not ordinary. It's not self-made. It's not dependent on how much sleep you got or how good your mood is. It is spiritual strength, rooted, unshakable, God-given. It's the kind of strength that rises up even when your circumstances try to weigh you do. It's the kind that whispers peace into your thoughts when everything around you tries to stir worry. It's the kind that keeps you steady when the winds of life blow hard. It's the kind that sustains you when your own strength feels drained and depleted. This is why starting your morning in God's protection becomes more than a ritual. It becomes the fuel that empowers your entire day. Without it, you might still function, but with it, you flourish. Without it, you might still move, but with it, you move with purpose. Without it, you might still survive, but with it, you thrive. This is the difference between waking up in your own ability and waking up in God's power. And when that power becomes part of your morning, you stop letting circumstances tell you who you are. You stop letting fear decide what you will or won't do. You stop letting the opinions of others weigh on your heart. You stop letting yesterday dictate your today. You stop letting pressure control your spirit. You begin to stand in the identity God wrote for you, not the identity the world tried to impose on you. You begin to walk with your shoulders back, your head lifted, your spirit strengthened, not because everything is perfect, but because God is present. There's something deeply transformative about knowing that God is not just protecting your morning, He is preparing your destiny. Every day becomes a step towards something greater. Every challenge becomes a classroom. Every delay becomes a setup for something better. Every obstacle becomes a doorway you were meant to break through. And the more you trust God's protection, the more confident you become in His process. Some days you won't understand why things unfold the way they do. Some days will feel heavy. Some days will test your patience. Some days will stretch your faith. But when you begin your morning under God's covering, even the STR, etching won't break you. Even the waiting won't discourage you. Even the setbacks won't defeat you, because you know deep in your spirit that God is working in ways you cannot yet see. Psalm 27 becomes a guiding light in moments of uncertainty. When you don't know which decision to make, it reminds you that the Lord is your light. When you feel overwhelmed or inadequate, it reminds you that the Lord is your strength. When fear tries to creep in, it reminds you that the Lord is your salvation. And the more you anchor yourself in that truth, the less power fear has over your day. Little by little, you begin to notice changes in yourself. You become less reactive, less easily offended, less anxious about what might go wrong, less disturbed by things that used to upset you, less controlled by emotions that once overwhelmed you. The protection of God doesn't just guard your life, it guards your growth, it guards your development, it guards your transformation into someone who knows who they are and where they are going. You start to walk in a kind of peace that confuses people. They don't understand why you remain calm while they panic. They don't understand why you smile while they complain. They don't understand why you trust while they doubt. But what they don't know is that your peace started before sunrise. It started when you placed your morning and your day into God's hands. It started when you declared Psalm 27 over your life. It started when you chose faith over fear before your feet even touched the floor. And because you live this way, you begin to attract things that align with God's purpose for you. Doors open, not by force, but by favor. Opportunities find you, not by luck, but by divine alignment. Relationships strengthen, not by chance, but by God's orchestration. You start noticing that blessings come at the right time, the right people show up, the right ideas flow, and the right direction becomes clear. This is what happens when your morning belongs to God. Your day begins to unfold with supernatural order. Even the battles you face start to look different. You don't fear them anymore. You don't run from them anymore. You don't shrink under them anymore. You face them with spiritual authority. You confront them with inner strength. You move through them with courage, because you realize that any battle you encounter is a battle God prepared you for. And if He prepared you for it, He will bring you through it. You begin to recognize patterns of growth in your life, times when God strengthened you quietly, times when He protected you invisibly, times when He guided you gently, times when He redirected you lovingly, times when He corrected you gracefully, times when He covered you, even when you didn't realize you needed covering. Your trust deepens because you start seeing the fingerprints of God in places you once overlooked. And as your trust deepens, your mornings become sacred, not rushed, not distracted, not chaotic, sacred, a place where you and God meet in stillness, a place where your spirit listens more than your mouth speaks, A place where you release yesterday and embrace today. A place where you lay down what drains you and pick up what strengthens you. A place where you prepare your heart for whatever the day may bring. Those moments become your anchor when life becomes unpredictable. They become your fuel when your energy fades. They become your clarity when confusion tries to cloud your thoughts. They become your reminder that even when things feel uncertain, God's covering is constant. And when you carry that awareness through your day, you begin to live from a deeper place. A place of confidence rooted in God, not self. A place of courage rooted in faith, not emotion. A place of wisdom rooted in discernment, not impulse. A place of peace rooted in prayer, not circumstance. People will notice the change in you. They will see the strength you carry, the calmness you exhibit, the maturity in your responses, the depth in your perspective, the balance in your emotions, the hope in your words, the resilience in your spirit. They may not understand it, but they will feel it. Because protection is not invisible. Its effects are visible in how you carry yourself. You begin to see that you are no longer reacting to life. You are moving with it, flowing with God's rhythm, trusting His pace, embracing His timing. You become attuned to His quiet voice, leading you through decisions. You feel His presence when you're tempted to worry. You sense His direction when you're uncertain. You notice His peace settling over you when things should have shaken you. You realize His protection is not something you have to beg for. It's something you walk in. And in that awareness, your mornings become moments of spiritual power. They become the place where battles are won before they begin, where fears are dismantled before they take root, where anxiety is silenced before it speaks, where purpose is ignited before the world tries to dim it. You become a person who lives not from external circumstances, but from internal strength. Not from emotional chaos, but from spiritual clarity. Not from worldly pressure, but from divine peace. And all of that begins with how you choose to start your morning. As we bring this message to a close, let your heart hold on to one simple truth. When you begin your morning in the shelter of God's presence, you step into a day that no darkness can company. Psalm 27 is not just a scripture to read. It is a shield to wear, a promise to stand on, a declaration to breathe into your soul every morning. You walk out into the world not as someone uncertain or unprotected, but as someone covered, guided, and empowered by the Almighty. The challenges that rise against you lose their power when the light of God goes before you. The fears that whisper to you grow silent when His strength surrounds you. The battles that once overwhelmed you now meet a warrior who refuses to walk alone. So keep rising with this psalm on your lips. Keep waking with this confidence in your heart. Keep stepping forward with this courage in your spirit, because every morning you choose to stand in God's protection. You choose victory before the day even begins. And when God is your light, when God is your salvation, when God is the stronghold of your life, no enemy, no worry, no setback, and no shadow can stand against you. Start each day in His presence and watch how every day begins to transform into something greater than you expected, stronger than you imagined, and more blessed than you ever dreamed.